Hi boys and girls, today we are going to be making our own Play-Doh. We're going to be using a recipe to make that Play-Doh. This is the recipe that we're going to use. A recipe tells you the things that you need and the order of what you do with those things in order to make something. So sometimes it might be a recipe for cookies, or a recipe for cake, or a recipe for macaroni and cheese. But today we're making a recipe for something that we're not going to eat. It's for Play-Doh. And when the Play-Doh is all done, you can use the Play-Doh to make flowers, you could make a garden, you can make fruits or vegetables out of your Play-Doh. So what I'm going to do is show you. First, I'm going to tell you what you need. You're going to need 1 cup of boiling hot water, which you're going to need a parent to help you with. Then a tablespoon of vegetable oil, a 1/2 cup of salt, a tablespoon of cream of tartar, a cup of flour. Those are things that you need to put in your Play-Doh. You're also going to need a bowl, you'll need a spoon, and you're also going to need a measuring cup and a measuring spoon in order to measure how much of everything you need. And some things you could use in your Play-Doh are food coloring to change the color of it, and also you could use a smell, an essential oil, to put into your Play-Doh to make it smell a certain way. So the first thing we're going to do is add the salt, the cream of tartar, and the flour. So these are all the dry things that we're going to put in it. So for my salt, I need 1/2 cup. I am actually going to make 2 of these Play-Doh recipes at the same time. So I'm going to double my recipe. So for me, instead of 1/2 cup of salt, I'm going to need to use a whole cup of salt. And that's what this is. This is 1 cup. Fill it all up. Okay, so 1 cup of salt in my bowl. Then I need, instead of 1 cup of flour, I'm going to do 2 cups of flour, since I'm doing double of my recipe to make a lot of Play-Doh. Okay. And then I'm going to do the cream of tartar. Now the cream of tartar is 1 tablespoon, but because I'm doing 2, I need 2 tablespoons. So this is the tablespoon is usually the biggest spoon if you have measuring spoons. Okay, there's 1. Oops, that was kind of a lot. And we'll call that 2. All right. Once you have those things, you're going to be, let me give this just a little stir. You're going to be adding in the boiling hot water. That's going to be your next step, number 2. So you might need a grown-up to add this part for you because it is really, really hot and it could burn you. So make sure you have a grown-up to do this part. I am going to grab a spoon. And a back. I'm going to add my water. Now I already measured 2 cups for my teapot, so it should be 2 cups. Okay. And I'm going to give it a little mix. And then I'm going to add in my oil. So for the oil, I need 1 tablespoon, which I'm sure you can all guess is going to actually be 2 tablespoons. And it actually looks like my Play-Doh is kind of dry looking still. So I'll give it a mix and then I'll show you what it looks like. Remember, this is hot, so a grown-up will have to help you with this part too to make sure they're helping to mix. So if you look at my Play-Doh, it's starting to form a ball. It looks a little bit like dough. So I think it needs a little bit more water. So I'm going to get a little bit more water. and just add a little bit at a time. If your Play-Doh, when you start mixing, looks like it might be too wet, like it's soupy, then you could add a little bit more flour to it. You're just trying to get it to the consistency of Play-Doh so that you can actually play with it. Alright. This dough is starting to look a little bit better. Alright. So once it starts to actually come together more like a dough, what you're going to want to do is add in your food coloring if you have it and you're going to add it in, or if you want to put a smell in it. So I think I'm going to make orange Play-Doh. It's kind of spring feeling. So I have a scent. This is a blend of different smells that are all plants. So I'm going to add a couple drops of that in. And then to make orange, I don't have orange food coloring, but I have a red and I have a yellow. So I'm going to mix those in next. And once I stir it, if I don't like the color, I can add some more of the different colors to make it more orange. It smells very good. Okay. And I think I'm going to put a little more flour. And then I'm going to stir it with my hands. Once it gets cool enough, it's good to mix it with your hands. It really gets everything incorporated. That way there's no big lumps of flour or salt. And when you actually take it out of the bowl, you can play with it like Play-Doh. Put a little more flour. First I thought it was too dry, and now I think it might be a little too wet. So what you're doing, if you're following this recipe, is you're practicing following directions and measuring, which are all really important skills. And these are things you can do when you're cooking real food or when you're making Play-Doh. Alright, I'm going to take it out of the bowl so you can see what it looks like. So it's starting to look like Play-Doh, and I'm just going to mix it with my hands on the table. Knead it kind of like you would do with flour, with dough for like bread. And I'm going to add a little more flour to the top of it so it doesn't stick. And I don't think the color is very orange, so I think I'm going to put a couple more drops of food coloring into it. Because I made such a big batch, it made it, I think, need a little bit more. But it does smell really good. I think I put enough of the essential oil in. So a couple more drops of yellow. And a couple more drops of red. And you can turn your Play-Doh into whatever color you have at home if you have food coloring. If you don't have food coloring, you could just leave it white. And it will still work the same. This is starting to be more of an orange color. And once your Play-Doh is done, you'll know it'll feel, like I said, like a Play-Doh. And you want to make sure, like Play-Doh that you buy at the store, that you put it in a container. So since we made this Play-Doh, it did not come with a container. So what you're going to want to do is put it in a baggie, if you have a baggie, or put it in a container like a Tupperware container, or a plastic one, or a glass one. So that way it actually holds its consistency. It doesn't get dried out. Because if you leave it out, it will dry out, and the salt in it will dry out. And it won't work as well anymore. But it should stay good in the container for quite a long time. You can keep it and play with it. And as long as you put it back, it should continue to work well. So, what you can do with this, now that you have Play-Doh, is you could use it to roll letters, you could write the word garden out of Play-Doh, or you can use it to actually build a garden. You can make different plants with it, you can make flowers with it. I think I might make a little rose. So I'm going to roll it up. into a rose for my garden. And all I did to do that is I made a snake and then I squished it and then started to roll it up and pulling it around so it makes some little petals. I have a rose. So there's some roses for my garden. And then I think I might also put a little pumpkin in my garden since I have orange Play-Doh. And if you wanted to make this Play-Doh a lot of different colors, there's a little pumpkin, there's the stem. You could split the Play-Doh in half and do different colors as well. So I hope you enjoyed making this Play-Doh. I would love to see what you make out of it or pictures of you following the recipe. Make sure to send them to your teachers. Move this, you can see the recipe again. And have fun with it. Try different colors, try different smells, and make sure you let us see what you're up to. Have a great day. Happy Friday. Bye.